Hi, everyone.
Hey Seth, this is Nicole. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. How are you?
So I'm in a conference room with three other districts, ethnic districts, and we're just in here together under my account because we had a meeting.
Oh, awesome.
I have quite a few that are going to be joining separately as well that are taking a part in the deal.
Yeah, and I see we got 36 in here right now, I think. So funneling in. Do you know how many we'll be expecting potentially, like 100 or?
41, I think, was the total that I had.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So we'll give some folks a couple minutes here then.
Yeah, we're using a fancy meeting cam, I think now. We'll turn
For
that off
sure.
when we get started.
When we worked in the office, we had this owl thing that was kind of cool. It was like
Yep.
captured every face.
Yep, that's what we're using. So
Oh,
we
really? Yeah, it's
had a
that's
couple weeks
amazing. It's amazing
ago.
technology.
Yep.
So I'll give some folks a couple minutes before we get started here.
Yeah, so we might be pretty close to the number of people who RSVP because I got three in the room.
Oh, okay, awesome. And then yeah, we can get you a recording as well. Kind of
Perfect. I was
like
gonna ask that too.
I think
Yep.
that'll have to come through from Diego, but um yeah, so I think correct me if I'm wrong on the purpose of this meeting here. So um I guess the kind of the purpose is to kind of talk more about like content options for the different districts. Is that correct? Is that correct, Nicole?
Yes, so what we did is we had a couple separate meetings that everybody took part in for going over the account settings, like the branding, the whitelisting, and then getting learners added. So that's as far as we went. And then I kind of asked everybody to either get learners added or start thinking about how they want to do that, if it's manually, AD sync and whatnot. And then making sure that they had the correct number of learners licensed to them. So then, yes, I want to take it to the next step and start talking about, since everybody on the call, we might have some people who were part of the previous agreement, but those should be few. But then I want to go over like what are best practices. These are people who are just coming in. What should they do if they want to just start rolling and get statistics to see how much training they should do, what kind of training modules are best suggested for people just starting out.
Yeah, for sure. So we have Al on the call right now. So Al will be Nicole, your point of contact over here with us, and Al's got a lot of experience on the customer experience side. So I think I'm gonna let Al kind of take it from here. And kind of Al, are you able to kind of run with that?
Yes, fantastic. Thanks, Seth, for the introduction. And Nicole, Diego, thank you for getting everybody here in one place. Yeah, so when it comes to recommendations for getting your program up and running, we have a couple of different things that we would suggest. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, is everyone able to see my screen where it says Infosec IQ in the top corner?
Yep, we can see that.
Fantastic. So this is your homepage, your dashboard. For those of you that have already uploaded your learners or are a more tenured admin, this probably looks quite familiar. So what we would recommend, of course, first and foremost, you'll want to get your learners uploaded to the platform. You will want to complete the allow listing, and you will want to upload your branding and your logo. Once that is done, once you are ready to begin your campaigns, what we would recommend is a monthly Aware Ed, which is our awareness education, Aware Ed training, and a monthly phishing campaign. Now, to kick all of that off, what we would recommend starting off is with what we call a baseline phishing campaign. What that is essentially is a phishing campaign where you don't alert your end users, your learners, the teachers, the administrators. We don't alert them that this is coming. Of course, we would let, maybe key stakeholders know, members of the IT team, district administrators, maybe members of HR. We let them know that this is coming. We would then run that baseline campaign. And the goal there is to, as the name suggests, get a baseline, understand where your phishing is at the very start of this. We let that campaign run, and we can go into a little bit more detail on how to set that up. We let that campaign run, we see our results, and now we have our starting point. We have the first dot on the graph, for lack of a better word. Once that is completed, we send out communication. We have some pre-built communication, so admin, don't feel obligated to have to write something from scratch. You know that you guys are busy enough. We send out communication letting your end users know that there was a phishing simulation, and now we will be beginning with training. From there, we recommend, like I mentioned before, a monthly awareness education training and a monthly phishing. Now, our programs are specifically designed to be micro learning. We know that your staff are already time pressed enough, so we keep these very short, under 5 minutes in length. And we actually have specifically designed a unique program plan, which can be found in our content library. We can also send this out in an email afterwards, which is our Just for Educators Security Awareness Plan. Now, what this is specifically designed for is designed for folks like yourself in the K-12 space. What this program plan is designed to do is, over a 9-month period throughout the school year, cover the key cybersecurity awareness training topics, leveraging our Just the Facts content. And we've done this in a way that builds on each month and really takes the guesswork out of it for you. These are the modules that you would use. These are the phishing simulations that go along with it. And it is built out month by month. So again, really taking the guesswork out of it for you. It, takes a little bit of work to get it all set up in the program. But once you do that, then you're able to just kind of click and go. And this is by far our most popular program for folks in the K-12 space. And the content leveraged here, our Just the Facts series, is our most popular training series, regardless of industry. So again, just at a high level, I was able to find that program plan. The program plan is simply a PDF that explains how to set up your program. I was able to find that by going to the content library and searching Just for Educators. And as you can see here, we're able to download the program plan, which is a step-by-step guide of the training program. You're able to review it. Again, out of the box, we think that this is great, but we know that you might want to make some changes there. Once you've determined your desired schedule, you're able to go into PhishSim and build the phishing side of the campaigns. You're able to go into AwareEd and build the awareness training side of the campaigns. From there, you can either set them up to launch on a scheduled date, set it and forget it, or you can leave them in draft mode, which gives you a little bit more flexibility, and then you can come back to them at a later date to schedule them as you see fit. We, of course, have a lot of great documentation via our knowledge base, our user manual that goes through this step by step. So those of you that have never done this before, don't feel overwhelmed. As you'll see throughout the platform, there are these little question marks. This will link you to a specific subsection of the user manual that will walk you through that aspect. I know I went through quite a bit there pretty quickly, but any questions so far?
Will you dive into like creating some of that stuff with us?
Yeah, not a problem.
Perfect.
So we'll use the Aware Ed training campaign as an example. So first, a little bit of terminology. A campaign is how we deliver phishing or training to your end users. All Aware Ed campaigns have courses. A course is simply a combination of modules, assessments that are disseminated to your learners. So let's say we were to build a brand new campaign. We're going to go to a campaign, and this is a test account, so you'll see some past data, but we'd hover here under new campaign. And let's say you plan on kicking off in August. August 2022, and we can see from the program plan here that we recommend using just the introduction as our, so I'm just gonna make this a little easier for myself. I'm gonna go ahead and copy. I'm gonna go ahead and paste. This is not end user facing, so the campaign name is just for you as admin. You will pick your branding, which you will have previously set. And then from there, you configure this to your liking. Are we going to send this to everyone? Do we maybe have a subgroup? Maybe we're only sending this to admin staff, or maybe we're only sending this to teachers, or maybe this month we're only sending it to folks at the middle school, whatever the case might be. You configure your learners. For this example, we'll just say that we're sending it to everyone. We find our course. All right, so we know that this is just the introduction, so we will find our course. For time's sake, we'll just say that this is the course that we want. And then from here, we have a couple of options. I typically recommend checking boxes 1 and 4. This automatically advancing learners to the next activity. If there is 2 components to the course, maybe a training module and an assessment, this will just seamlessly take them from one into the next. Requiring learners to retake a failed assessment. This is completely up to you. I don't typically recommend that you require folks to retake it. Some folks, that is part of their policy that you need to retake it until you reach a passing score. Again, that is going to be completely up to you. Restricting access after the campaign run. I don't recommend checking this. This is really if you don't want people to be able to go back to the training. I always say that, hey, if they take a training in August and they want to come back to it in September and do a little more training, watch it again, why not? And then attaching a completion certificate. This simply allows folks to download a completion certificate. This is great for their own personal records, point of pride. Some people make competitions out of it, maybe hanging them in the teacher's lounge or something like that. Always a nice little add-on. Then we have notifications, simply a series of reminder emails instructing people to log in and start their training or complete their training, and also a completion when they're done. of course can be configured. We have some default ones, which of course we like, but we know that you might have a different corporate voice. So you can, of course, create your own. And then when you do that, leverage those here. Once you've configured your notifications, we simply go down into scheduling. When it comes to a monthly campaign run, you're just going to say that this is a single campaign run. You're going to pick your start date. We recommend trying to have them start roughly the same date every month. So again, let's say we're kicking this off 8/1. Folks are going to have 30 days. We can see the end date here, which is automatically determined. You know, if we were to adjust this, you can see it adjusts there on the end date. We typically recommend, especially in the education setting, 30 days to complete the training. It's, like I said, roughly about a 5-minute time commitment. So 30 days is more than enough time to be able to complete that. We know that your folks do have a lot going on, but this is important. So they can find the 5 minutes in their day. That is what we ask of them. The EPP integration, this is a separate setup, something that can be configured, not something that we'll go into right now, but is something that can be configured. Resetting learner progress, this is, again, not something that we're gonna check here. This basically means, you know, at the end of the 30 days, maybe we want to extend this. Maybe, you know, something happened in August. We want to give people an additional couple of days here. If we extend it and we have this box checked, everybody that had already done it is going to get put back to square one. So we don't want to check that box. Enable learner authentication. If you have SSO configured, you would be able to enable this. For those districts that don't use SSO or don't plan on having it configured, you just won't see that here. If we are happy with everything, we can go ahead and click Save and Schedule. If we have this set for a future date, it will go out at midnight on that date, giving people the full 30 days. If you maybe want to continue to edit this, you can save it as a draft. One thing that I will note is once you click Save and Schedule, the campaign is locked. So even if you have it set for a future date, you can't go back and continue to edit. So you can delete it and stop it from going out, but then you need to kind of start over. So I recommend don't click Save and Schedule until you know that you're happy. Once you've built the first campaign and you're more or less happy with it, like I said, we can go ahead and click Save and Schedule or Save as a Draft. And now we have our draft campaign. Now we've got the framework, and this is basically going to be the same each month. So let's go ahead and hover over this little piece of paper. So now you can see we have a new campaign. And if we scroll to the end here, you can see there's that little 1. So now this is going to be September. We're going to change the name. We're going to change the course, again, just picking one here for the sake of time. We're going to change the start date. We're going to go ahead and save campaign as a draft. And from there, you can really build out. Sorry, when I share on Zoom, sometimes my computer gets a little slow. And from there, you can basically build out your full year of training in a matter of minutes. And then you have them saved as draft. And then when it's time to go in, click that edit pencil, review it again, make sure that we're happy with everything, nothing's changed, make any edits, click Save and Schedule, and then you are good to go. Now, I do see there are some questions here in the chat, so let's get to these. There's a question regarding links for whitelisting and AD Sync. Yes, we will be sure to share that out to everyone after the call for those of you that do not have that already. Again, similar question. Again, we will send all of that information to everybody to make sure that your account is configured to your liking. Oh, I'm sorry, as I'm scrolling through, Nicole, I see that you've already answered some of these.
No problem. I just, for that person asking about the allow listing and whatnot, we did cover that in some training that I recorded, so I can share that information out. I just need to, and add this so that if anybody doesn't have access to that, let me know, because I have a Google Share Drive that I can send out to anybody if they need access to that.
Mhm.
So for the SSO stuff, that's one thing that I'm not quite clear on too, and I think we had a couple other people who asked about that. Can you kind of touch base on how like when it sends stuff to users? So I know you get that unique link that the user has, and that's where all their learning is done. Without a log. Can you just kind of explain that more fluently than I do?
Yeah, not a problem. Let me pull something up here really quick. Okay. So I'm going to bring over another page. All right. Can everyone see this page where it's my inbox?
Yes.
Okay. So again, this is a test example. So yours would have your logo, and you could configure your branding here a little bit and your verbiage. So when you enroll your learners in a training, they will receive this email. They will see a button to start their training. Now, I do not have SSO configured, so I click start my training, and it takes me right to my learner dashboard where I can complete my training. Now, if I had SSO configured, one of two things would have happened. If I was already logged into my identity provider, it would check me against the identity provider. Is the individual that is logged into the identity provider, Okta, whatever you might be using, is this individual that is logged in on this workstation the same individual that this training is assigned to? If it is, it takes you seamlessly in here. If you're not logged in, it's going to ask you to verify that it's going to ask you to verify against the credentials of the assigned learner. So for those folks, I know a lot of times, especially with like shared workstations, you log into your SSO and you're on the device, it will take them seamlessly from their email into the training. If they're not logged in, it'll just ask them to verify who they are.
Al, I think there was a question in the chat about enabling SSO in there. So
yeah, great question. So there are some technical steps to enable SSO. To do that, you will go to the cog here and click Learner Authentication SSO. Full transparency, I am not a SSO learner identification IDP expert, but we were taken here, and then again, we have some step-by-step instructions on how to configure that. We also have in our user manual step-by-step instructions on how to configure SSO. If you run into issues while you're setting up SSO or you have any questions, you can leverage the support button here, which is a blue and white question mark. Enter in a support ticket, provide as much detail as possible, and this does route to a real person. It routes to our support team, a couple of folks by the name of Michael and Jill. They'll review this, and if it is something simple, where it's just a quick 1-2 change, they'll respond with an email letting you know what needs to be done. If it's a little bit more complicated, we will, of course, set up a technical support call to walk you through it.
There's another question about Joel has a question. To be clear, we would create new separate campaigns for each month and look at the Just for Educators plan for the next courses that should be added to each monthly campaign.
Exactly, Joel. You've got it exactly right. And by creating a new campaign for each month, that helps you segment the data. So you can, at the end of the school year or at the end of the semester, you can look at the data, look at how September went, how August went, October, so on and so forth. But what's really nice about the way our platform is configured, once you make the first one, you just make a copy, tweak it a little bit, and then make the next one. Great question. And then the setting up of the phishing, very similar to the AwareEd. Really the difference being, as we'll click into it, you guys will see, it looks more or less the same from a configuration standpoint, giving it a name, determining your learners. And then really the main differences are we're going to be selecting email templates that will be going out to people versus selecting a course. And then we have a little bit more configuration when it comes to the scheduling. So you can kind of control a little bit more of the delivery time and things like that. Again, our user manual does a great job of walking you through step by step how to set this up and configure it to your liking. And again, similar to AwareEd, you click save as a draft, you can clone it and then build the next one, and so on and so forth. And of course, as you may have seen already, everything from the platform can be accessed via this top drop-down menu. You can always click the Infosec logo to get back to your homepage.
Can you tell us, so that baseline phishing, how would you push that out if they wanted to start there?
Great question. So what I would do is the configuration of phishing templates in our platform are really divided into three groupings. You have your individual email templates, one-off template, it's a spoofed USPS template. Then we have what are considered batteries. Batteries are a grouping of 3 to 4 templates centered around a theme. So, your August Just for Educators, we're going to have a battery of 3 to 4 templates that align with that training. And then lastly, we have a category, which is a larger grouping of emails under a shared idea. All of the emails that look like they're from a bank. So getting back to the baseline, we have a baseline battery. So as I mentioned, this is what we call a baseline blind campaign, or excuse me, a baseline blind battery. We can click on this little eyeball to preview. And as you can see here, we have 3 emails that would go out to your staff. Again, we have this little eyeball that we can preview it. So we're going to go ahead and click preview. We can see this is what the email would look like that goes to your learner. If they were to click a link, they're taken to a 404 error not found page. Again, this is a blind campaign. We're not trying to educate people. We're really just trying to get a understanding of where we are at to begin with. If we like these 3 templates and we're happy with it, we can use the stock battery. Let's say maybe you don't use Dropbox. Maybe this isn't relevant for you guys. Okay. What you have the ability to do is to clone our stock battery. You can hit that little clone. And then it'll show up at the very end here, or what we can also just do is search baseline. And as you can see, we've got our new one that we just created. Obviously, we've cloned this quite a few times, so it's shown up here a few times, but let's go in, and now we've cloned it. So now we have editability. You'd obviously want to give this a unique name, something that you'll remember. Let's just say my district. Obviously, you guys have your own unique names, but for demonstration purposes. And again, we're not going to use Dropbox, so maybe we delete it and maybe we want to add something else in here. We've got different templates that we can choose, but let's just say we're just going to use these two. So now we've got my district baseline blind. Go ahead and click save. And now we've built our baseline. We have our content configured for our training, or excuse me, for our phishing. We're going to go to campaigns. We're going to build a new one, giving it a unique name. We'll call it 2022 23 baseline. This is the baseline for the school year. Again, picking our learner groups for the baseline, it's going to go to everyone. And here's where we find our battery. Now, for the baseline, we recommend sending all of the templates to everyone. Everyone is going to get the exact same templates. Some might get template A first, some might get template B first. It helps keep it a little bit mysterious. It helps people from alerting coworkers, and it helps us get the most realistic results. But everybody will get both emails, just the order might change a little bit. Now, typically, when a learner clicks on a phishing email, they are taken to an education page, giving them in the moment training. There's a teachable moment here. Let's act on it right away. Not trying to shame anyone, trying to educate them. We also respond with a follow-up email, letting them know, hey, you probably saw that education, your computer is safe, this was a simulation. So we would have that email. But for the blind, again, we're not trying to alert people, we're not trying to educate people. We would set it to do nothing. Tracking learner replies, we're not going to check this. This is for a specific type of campaign, not something that we're going to be using today. And now we can configure our campaign. You do have the ability to send all the emails right at once. This would blast out both of those emails to all your learners in pretty rapid succession. I don't recommend doing this. For the baseline, our best practice would be scheduling a single campaign run, picking your start date. And for the baseline, we recommend having it run for 7 days, 1 full week. Everybody will get both of those emails over the course of 7 days. Now, one of the great things with phishing is you do have a little bit more configurability. So as you can see here, we have the defined delivery time. If we toggle this to yes, we can configure it. Our default is Monday through Friday, all day. Now, again, this is true to the industry. As you all have seen in your personal and professional lives, hackers don't only work weekdays, then they don't only send you emails from 8 to 5. So we really do recommend having these go out on a 24-hour rolling basis. However, we do understand that per district policy, you may need to configure that. So, we do give you the ability to adjust the delivery time. If you do need to adjust the delivery time, my recommendation based on industry standards is having the emails start at 5 a.m. and run until 6:30 p.m. we often see that malicious actors will send out emails, right before the start of your day, to catch you while you're, still knocking the cobwebs off, and at the end of the day. So putting them just outside of your working hours is pretty true to real life. These hours are determined by the time zone that you set in your account settings. Now, I know you're all located in Minnesota, so you'll all be Central Time Zone. Central Time Zone is the default in the system, so you actually don't need to do anything there. But just know that that is determined by your account setting. Similar to AwareEd, if we're ready, we'll click Save and Schedule. If it's for a future date, the emails will begin on that date at the selected time. If we want to continue to edit it, we would click Save as a Draft. Similar to AwareEd, once you have your first campaign built, you can use that as your source to build all of your future campaigns and just make minor tweaks and edits. One thing to note, we have not saved this campaign yet, and this is true of AwareEd as well. If I toggle away, it is gone. So make sure that you save as a draft. Don't want to lose your hard work. It's easy to set up a campaign, but hey, if you just spent 3 or 4 minutes getting it perfected, let's make sure we save it. Again, I know this is quite a bit of information. This call is being recorded, and we will be sending out documentation to walk you through this as well.
Thanks for that explanation. So Joel's next question is with the school year being busy, crazy time of the year, when do you recommend sending phishing baselines the second half of August, early September, late September, October? I guess from my perspective, Joel, typically it would be like late September, or either like that back to school time frame where the teachers are just coming back. But that might be a good one where as a group we can kind of maybe discuss that as ideas, unless Al, do you have any suggestions?
That's a great question, Joel. And Nicole, a great point. Where we've seen a lot of success is kicking off the baseline during that, like you said, back to school, when teachers and admin staff are back in the office, or excuse me, back on campus, but students haven't arrived yet. That's typically when we've seen it be the most successful. It's also a great way to kind of get the year started with this new program in place.
Kind of what I've had districts do is, if they're gonna do that baseline, yeah, do that like that back first teacher, the staff days that week, but then hold off on the training until some of the stuff calms down, just because that I think is where the teachers kind of get a little bit stressed out, is they're getting training stuff right away and they think they have to do this right away, and it's like, I don't have time for that. And that might be where you get a lot of the roadblocks and hurdles, is if you push out the training pieces right away. Where the phishing emails, they're just going to be something that pops up for the baseline, just pops up in their email box, and they're either going to click it or they're not. There's not, even if the training's just 5 minutes, it's just like any other email message that they have in their box. They're gonna do what they're gonna do.
100%, Nicole. You can't, my camera's not on, so you can't see, but I'm nodding along with you 100%. And you bring up a great point that, obviously this is extremely important. We are trying to educate your staff to, not only keep them safe in a professional context, but everything that they learn via this program can be applied to their personal lives as well. All that being said, the start of the school year, there can be a lot going on. There's a lot of, noise, and we don't want to get lost in the shuffle. So just as Nicole suggested, we're singing the same song here. A lot of folks have had a lot of success kicking off that baseline, during those admin days, getting that out, letting that run, sending out communication, letting people know that, this is a new program, this is something we're going to be doing this year, and, years in the future. And then actually kicking off that training, maybe, after the first week or two, maybe after that first month. Again, it kind of depends on your school and how you guys roll out the start of the school year.
Yeah, if anybody has like hurdles or pushback from anybody rolling this out, what my message has always been is, like, most of the people on here are technology people. We don't want to just push this out to people as, like, the extra noise, something else to do, any sort of gotcha. The whole intention with this is to make all of our coworkers better, more knowledgeable about cybersecurity, information security, so they don't get affected at school or at home. Because we don't want to hear about somebody, clicking a link and providing somebody their account access to their personal device and losing money, because at the end of the day, that impacts them mentally, financially, maybe physically, and that just, as a whole wellness conversation. This isn't just something that the school's doing to protect the school. This is something that we're doing to, make everybody more knowledgeable, to help our students be more aware in those kinds of conversations. So if anybody has, any specific roadblocks, feel free to reach out to me directly, and I can help, rephrase things or give you some ideas to talk to leadership or whoever about how to make sure that this is successful and you get that buy-in.
Exactly. And another great resource that we have, and I mentioned this briefly earlier, but I'll highlight it now, is if you go to the content library and you search the word launch, scroll down a little bit here, we have a launch email. And this is something that you would send out to your staff after the baseline, but before the first training. And this is a generalized email to help get that buy-in, explaining why we're doing this. We have one that can go to your general workforce and one that can go to management to really help get that buy-in. Pretty simple Word documents here. You're able to download it, pops into Word, and of course it opens on another screen. But then you're able to, edit this, and again, put this into your corporate voice, your branding, but, taking some of the guesswork out of it for you guys, to help you get that buy-in and get that communication. Once you've, got it to the way you like it, some folks will take this and then put it into an email blast. Some folks put it on like a home page or a landing page, things like that. But again, to Nicole's point, it really just helps get that buy-in and lets people know what's coming. And again, that can just be simply found in the content library by searching the word launch. And scroll down a little bit and you can see launch email for both your general workforce and your management team. Any other questions, anything else that you folks would like to look at or to go over while we're all on the call today?
So my group doesn't have any more questions right now. So if anybody else has anything, feel free to either put it in the chat or unmute and speak up. Otherwise, I'll just kind of keep talking here for a little bit so anybody can build up the courage. I will, as soon as I get the link for the recording shared, I will share that out to our group, as well as send you the link for where I'm putting all these resources. And then if you have anybody within your district that needs to be in on that security awareness email group that I have, please let me know. That's kind of how I'm sharing out the resources, is with that security awareness group. And then I have a couple of you that told me directly you don't have access to that share, so I will connect with you after this.
Perfect. Well, everyone, thank you for the time. I know, it's mid-July, but the school year is right around the corner, and I know you're all extremely busy. So we do appreciate you guys, number one, taking the time to meet with us, but number two, putting cybersecurity awareness training at, as a target for your districts. It's great to see, especially at the, K-12 education level. The parting thought that I'll leave you with is, there's lots of training out there. One of the things I think that really sets Infosec apart is the content that we're delivering. Number one, it's short, less than 5 minutes. Number two, it's engaging. Obviously I'm a little biased, but the content is fun. It's easy to get through. And number three, it is relevant. It's going to be so valuable, as Nicole mentioned, so valuable for your staff, for both their work life, making sure that they're keeping the district safe, making sure that they're enabling best practices to pass on to their students, and also for their personal lives. The stuff that you learn in work training can be applied to your personal life, especially cybersecurity awareness. We all have personal emails, and we're all getting these same emails at home as well. So this education is going to help people protect themselves at home as well. So it's super valuable. Well, if there is nothing else, we can give you folks 10 minutes back into your afternoon. As Nicole mentioned, she'll follow up with any pertinent information. We'll get some information over to you, Nicole, so you can disseminate it to the folks on the call, and we will go from there.
Perfect. Thank you, Al.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Thanks.